Hello everyone, and welcome to Hill Street. Today we have two stories about eyes. If you end up enjoying these stories, please leave a like. And if you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe and become a resident of Hill Street and let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get to these nightmares. They say that eyes are windows to the soul, and I have never agreed more. I can hear the hard soles of Oxford dress shoes striking the cold hard floor. Each step has a long echo. My guess is a man is walking down the hallway. The steps stop and I hear a voice. "Which room is Mr. Knight in?" A female voice, very light and comforting, responds, "Second room on the right." The footsteps grow louder as they get closer. They stop. I hear 3 quick knocks on what sounds like a heavy wooden door. I hear the click of the door handle, and a deep and confident voice begins to speak. "Good afternoon, Mr. Knight. Firstly, I would like to start by giving my thanks for allowing us to run this new procedure on you. As you know, you are the very first human to have ever had this done. We have practiced on mice and seen positive results when successful. I need you to know that there are many nerves and muscles in the eye, and our calculated rate of survival is 6%. My face is sullen. My response is dry. Don't worry, I can't die. The man is silent for a few seconds. I'm guessing he was confused. "Mr. Knight, I'm going to run some vitals on you to get started. Now tell me, how did you lose your sight?" It's a long story, and I'm not proud of it. It was an old injury, and we can leave it at that. Another long silence ensues. The doc finally speaks. "Your vitals look great. We're going to put you under, and I hope to see you on the other side." A large and calloused hand pats my left shoulder, and the next thing I hear is a female. "Mr. Knight, please count backwards from 100. I feel someone shaking me and put 2 fingers on my neck, searching for a pulse. The confident voice from earlier speaks. "Mr. Knight, wake up." I blink, and the light is blinding. The pain is excruciating. As my eyes adjust to the light, I sit up and look around. I can see. "Doc, I can see." "Very good, Mr. Knight. We will see you here back in a week to monitor and see how you're adjusting." I shake his hand and bid him farewell. I finally get to go home and go to my bed. After changing eyes, you find you get pretty tired. I walk towards my bathroom, and my head has a sharp stabbing sensation. I open my eyes, and I'm not in my house. I'm in someone else's. I hear screaming and pleading. I blink, and when I open my eyes, I'm back in my house, and my pain is gone. I make my way to my bed. Look at the clock, 9 p.m. It's pretty early to go to sleep, but damn, I'm tired. I wake up the next morning and look around. As I stand up, I get another stabbing pain. I blink, and I'm back in a different house. My hands are covered in blood, and at my feet is a young girl. Her face black and blue. Her nose is broken, and one eye is swelled shut. I blink, and I'm back at my house. My heart aches for that girl. I fumble around my house all day, waiting for the next pain, and just before I go to bed, it happens. The pain. But I notice it's getting worse. I blink, and I see my hands wrapped around the girl's throat. Her eyes start to roll back in her head as she gasps for breath. She's trying to fight my hands. Before she stops breathing, I throw her against the wall and watch her fall to the floor with a loud thud. I blink, and I'm back at home. I think to myself, I need to call the doc tomorrow. I go to sleep, and when I wake up the next day, it's the same thing. A pain now so bad that I wish I was dead. I blink, and I'm back at the house. I'm in a bathroom. I walk to the sink and begin to wash off the blood. I look up into the mirror and see a face that's not mine, staring back and smiling at me. A deranged smile that would give a demon a fright. I blink. I'm back at my house again. I go to the computer and type in the details of the face. Scar over left eye, nose a bit crooked, blue eyes, bald. I hit enter, and arrest records pop up for a man named Jim Rodriguez. He was charged with murder and rape of Alice Derlin. I call the doc. He answers.
Hello?
Doc, it's night. Whose eyes are these?
Someone who is dead. Why?
I get a sharp, unbearable pain in my brain right before I get a glimpse into the past owner's life. That owner is Jim Rodriguez. There is a long silence.
That explains why the rats begin acting funny. When we attach the nerve endings, the eyes become connected to your brain, giving you the old memories. Think of it as a USB being plugged into a different computer.
There's a faint chuckle.
I guess the eyes really are windows to the soul. Come in when you get a chance.
Fine, Doc. I'll see you in a few hours. I hang up the phone, and the pain comes again. So strong this time, I fall to my knees, and blood starts to trickle from my ear. I see the girl getting strangled, gasping for air, as the whites of her eyes roll up. I want to blink, but I can't. I'm forced to watch this horror happen. Jim checks her pulse and laughs. She's dead. He takes her body to the bed and proceeds to sexually assault her. The sirens are heard. The flash of red and blue lights in the window is a comfort. The cops rush into the house so quick that Rodriguez doesn't have any time to put his clothes back on. The cops throw him against the wall and beat him. Then after 5 minutes, cuff him. He struggles, headbutts the cop and keeps fighting until the cops have no choice but to shoot him. The cop behind him presses the barrel to Jim's head and makes pink mist fill the air. Everything goes black. I blink my eyes, and everything is still black. I feel for my bathroom. The sink is mine. The books are mine. God damn it. My therapist of 5 months thinks I'm crazy, but I know that what I see is real. In her words, I'm disconnected from reality on a subconscious level in which my brain incorrectly interprets visual stimuli. Put in another way, I see things change in the corner of my vision that revert to normal if I directly observe them or I blink. The diagnosis, if you can call it that, would be a rational, sensible explanation for what I experience. There's only one issue with her diagnosis, though. It's no longer just a visual phenomenon. When this began over a year ago, it was only occurring roughly 5 times a month. Minor things like a chair changing shades, a slight alteration to a person's complexion, or someone with a normal gait, even though their legs are horribly deformed. None of this was enough to warrant any suspicion from me, or even consider the incidents as anything more than a trick of the light. By the end of the first 4 months, however, things had become more visceral. By the 6th month, I began seeing things over 12 times a month with increasing regularity. This was the point where it became more than just a visual hallucination as well. 7 of the most horrific sights up to this point occurred over this period, one of which was a kid with a gruesomely disfigured face, another, a woman with 4-foot-long pus oozing spikes jutting from her abdomen. All 7 of these incidents were accompanied by a noxious ammonia smell that burned into my throat and lungs, leaving me coughing for hours afterwards. 2 months ago, the number multiplied by 6. I saw at least one every day, and by the end of the 2 months, my terror of sights numbered to a mere routine abnormality, just a strange oddity or quirk my brain had developed. Even the ammonia smell barely tickled my nose anymore. Around this time was also when I began lying to my therapist. As far as she knows, the frequency and intensity of what I see is decreasing daily. Everything changed. As of today, the worst sight I'd seen yet shocked me out of my complacency and filled me with a dread I hadn't known since I'd first realized what I saw was more than just a trick of the light. My neighbor, an elderly woman, lived alone at the end of the dimly lit hall opposite me. She had been shutting her apartment door as I crested the stairs with a few bags of groceries. Wearing the red dress she usually did on Wednesday evening with her silver hair done up, she walked towards me, the outfit of stark contrast to the hallway's yellowing wallpaper. "Bingo night?" I asked as she neared. We chatted for a few minutes before she said goodbye. It happened as I was turning back down the hallway. The smell of ammonia and rot gagged me in an instant. I would have passed out from the putrid stench if not for the adrenaline and fear that coursed through me. I didn't have a choice but to watch out of the corner of my right eye as the old woman's face morphed into a twisted rickus of diseased wet flesh. Her bruised red lips were locked in a huge demonic crescent grimace, the ends of which pierced clean through the ceiling of the hall as if it didn't exist. Thick fluid oozed around her popping tongue and through her split-toothed grin, where it dribbled out and down her pointed, clipped chin. Her eyes were the worst part though. The eyelids stretched and curled on themselves as her gray eyes bulged to twice their normal size. I flinched as the fibrous red tendons holding her eyes snapped, and in less than a blink of an eye, her eyeball shot out on stems of throbbing wet flesh, stopping only centimeters away from my own strained eyes, studying me, knowing me, violating me. My vision clouded as my eyes began to burn and water. The seconds ticked by as I grew clammy and trembled. My neighbor softly gurgled next to me as drool dripped from her mangled maw to the floor. I tried to blink, but couldn't force my eyes to close. A choking hiss escaped her, and hot warmth splashed my cheek. My eyes finally snapped shut, and I shook uncontrollably. I heard my groceries hit the floor as whatever landed on my cheek slowly slid down and dripped to my neck. The ammonia smell dissipated, my breathing slowed, and my face was dry again. It was over. I inhaled deeply to steady my pounding heart and opened my eyes. Standing almost nose to nose with me was my neighbor. Her wicked, deformed grin seemed to expand and blot out the dim light, but at the same time remained the same. Vicious white bubbled from her mouth and vertigo flooded over me. Fight or flight kicked in, and my brain raced to comprehend exactly what the heck was going on. Tremors threatened to topple me, but my body still remained rooted to the spot. A sharp pain shot through my nose, and I tasted blood on my lips. The light in the hall faded to near black as I slumped to the floor and passed out. I woke to something shaking me. As my eyes opened, the first thing I saw was the yellowing wallpaper and my neighbor's red dress. Fumbling over spilled groceries on the ground, I swiftly backed up until I hit the wall. My neighbor, back to normal, bent over me with a concerned look on her face. Less than a minute, she told me when I asked how long I was out. Exhausted, I rose to my knees and collected my groceries, frantically waving her away as she attempted to help. Watching her walk away and disappear down the stairwell, I kept expecting her to look back with that horrific grimace. Every experience before this one felt like a phenomenon that occurred separate of me. This to say, what I saw happened in a different layer of reality in which I was merely an invisible observer. My neighbor was a first though. Whatever monster she morphed into knew I could see it as it could see me. The implications of this alone drained me of willpower and dashed any notion of normality in my life. About a month ago, my therapist suggested I keep a log of everything I experience. Today's incident will be the first time I bother documenting anything. I don't know how much longer I can do this, especially considering the frequencies of sightings continue to rise exponentially. This single occurrence set me to razor's edge and peering into the darkness of abstract horror and total insanity. As I write this inside my apartment living room, a familiar acrid smell reaches my nose from behind me.